So recently I've been thinking a lot about rest, how to allow yourself to slow down when you are someone that has high ambitions in life and is often called an overachiever. Um, and yeah, I feel like in life I'm in a bit of a liminal space right now where I feel like I'm in between transitions and yeah, I just feel a little bit lost in life these days, and I thought that today I would just sit down, create a cozy little environment for myself, and talk into a mic about some of my thoughts and feelings about rest in our society um, as I try to do one myself. I want to color this page today. It's just a coloring book, and I have some alcohol markers over here. I also have some tea. Um, yeah. Um, so I just wanted to color and share some of my thoughts into the universe. Yeah, I kind of realized that for me, self-care involves creativity, and that's like one thing I've been recognizing is like I haven't been creating as much. So today I just promised myself that I would create something, anything. And since January I've been kind of working on this coloring book. So I thought, how would it be if I colored on camera and talked to my laptop? So yeah, I don't know. We'll see if I enjoy this. And yeah, let's just get started. I don't really know what I'm gonna say in this video, but I'm excited to just release myself from the expectations of having to be perfect, knowing things and scripting things. Even my previous YouTube videos I've made on this channel have been very thought out, the podcast episodes and the talks and everything. And I just realized I needed a lower barrier to self-expression. Yeah, so I am gonna color today and just talk about how life has been recently and how much I've struggled with rest. And I know from the outside it looks very different when people think about me and my life, but it just kind of, I feel like I'm a bit tired of not pretending, but only selecting the highlights of my life. And I feel like most of us do that these days because we are in an Instagram culture where everything's so curated. So I kind of wanted to challenge myself to see if I could be more unfiltered, not as curated, and just let myself flow and give myself the permission to just exist, just color. And I kind of want to talk about why I started coloring. Obviously, there's TikTok, but I think the main reason was that I started realizing I do every activity because I have a goal. So I'm working towards a goal for every little activity. And if I'm not being productive in terms of, oh, if I do that task, that will like kill two birds with one stone, or just optimization. And I'm just not doing enough activities and hobbies just for the sake of doing them, and just existing and being present and just allowing myself to just be and not just become. I don't know if that makes sense, but yeah, I think I did definitely hit a point of burnout in my life recently. So yeah, I think I also kind of realized that I am a perfectionist, so I will only like create things when I feel like I'm in my perfect conditions and I've everything figured out, and then I can show myself to people. But again, with this video, I wanted to like challenge myself to see if I could not do that and just show who I am in the process of getting better or recovering from a hectic few years of my life. And it's just, I feel really awkward right now because even though I like being creative, it also really scares me. I just feel like it's like, I don't know how to put it, but it's like, what's a bigger fear for me? Is it to be seen or not to be seen? I think both are scary at times, and right now I think it is the fear of being seen that's holding me back a little bit. So yeah, this is just a coloring video and talking about rest as an overachiever. I think so. I kind of want to walk you through how I do my coloring process. I've kind of tried to train myself to not make it look amazing, and how can I optimize all the colors and make everything look perfect. The point of it is the journey, just enjoying the process and trying to rewire my brain to understand that that is enough. And I've gone through phases in my life where I am very journey and process oriented, but when things get difficult, I think we all have a more of a desperate energy to hold on to outcomes because they give us a sense of predictability and control. So yeah, what I do is I just look at the colors I have and I just feel my way through them. Whichever colors speak to me, I guess. And I just start looking at it and I just pick randomly. Me usually would really think about these decisions, and every little thing would have to be perfect. And so this year I'm challenging myself to rest in the process of creativity, because it's been, I don't know, I think I'm achieving my goals, but it's the process of getting there has been incredibly hectic. So yeah, even right now I feel a bit awkward because I don't feel fully myself. I know I'm talking to a camera, so a part of me is questioning, am I being authentic right now? I don't know, but well, I'm trying. And if I upload this video, I'm gonna be proud of myself for trying my best and for trying to be enough. They have really good selection of colors. Yeah, it's a very rewarding experience I've found recently. And this candle also smells really good. I don't really know how long the video is gonna be, but I'm just gonna color and see where things go. So the reason I take out all of these colors beforehand is because I feel like it makes the process more smoother and more calming to my brain, because I'm not constantly having decision fatigue for every little move. So I give myself a constraint in terms of how many colors I'm allowed to use, and then within that constraint I can be creative. Otherwise I find that too much chaos can be its own prison. I think maybe one more. I feel like even right now I feel a very big sense of I need to be entertaining people. It's a very uncomfortable video for me right now, but you know, it's okay. It's okay. Alright. I think I have all my colors for today. The green tea is pretty good. Alright. So I've chosen these colors. And like I said, this is the page. And I have a cardstock behind it so the color doesn't leak to the next coloring page, because these alcohol markers are very strong, I found. So yeah, I have a little pouch in this this hoodie thing, so I'm gonna put the colors there so I can easily access them, and then I'm just gonna start coloring. Yeah, so even right now, like as I'm coloring, I'm like, how's this gonna look at the end product, and will it really look aesthetic? I don't know. Rewiring my brain is a difficult task, but I'm trying my best. I just find coloring pretty helpful in that regard. Another thing I'm realizing about rest is how disincentivized it is in our society. So I feel like I've stopped faulting people for not being rest oriented, because I think right now me trying to rest in life not only is very uncomfortable in my personal life or in my career ambitions, but even for people in even for people that are just in day-to-day life, I find that there are people set expectations towards you based on if you are doing things for them or not. So we are a very expectation-oriented society, and you know, being a perfectionist and always doing your job and always being likable is highly rewarded, and I feel like there are biological reasons why we feel a very big sense of discomfort trying to go against the grain, because evolutionarily it would have been very dangerous for our tribe to discount us from the group of people, because that would be a huge threat to our own survival. So yeah, I just feel like the incentive for doing it is very, very high, and resting almost becomes an act of rebellion. And obviously capitalism is so outcome oriented and so standardization oriented that it's like, I feel like I see myself struggling to be a human. And I'm also finding that with people in my life. I find that people I love, people I want to go to rest and just lean on, are also so torn by how many things they have to do and being a good human and having a good character. So yeah, that's a paradox I found, is like, how do we balance, or do we even balance the wanting to be there for people and having a good character and being a good human with meeting the demands of our survival in a capitalistic society, and just trying to balance both of these critical things in our lives. And I also felt like another reason self-care is incredibly difficult is because unless it's rooted from internal mechanisms, there's no external validation for it. So if you are part of the hustle culture and you give your best and you sacrifice and you make things happen, the world will clap for you so much. And it will be hard to recognize that it might not be the best for you because everyone else thinks it's so amazing that you're doing that. So that can be its own cycle, I find. Yeah, it's really tough. I think it's really tough to maintain our humanities. I am almost curious what other people do. If you have a friend that's sick or they need a ride to the airport and you have a really big work commitment, how do you decide like what decision you should make? And obviously it's a value question, so you probably dive in deep and think. But I'm finding that these questions are not as simple as I thought they would be. So yeah, it's just I don't know. I'm having a hard time. I also find that the coloring over here makes the thoughts in my brain unlock better, because I feel like I'm just using multiple motor skills at the same time. It's quite satisfying actually right now. I am also really happy that I know no one's gonna watch this video, and that's how the algorithm works, is because if people actually cared about this video, I feel like I'd be way more self-conscious. So I like that the law of the universe or law of YouTube or whatever is just creators that are new don't get as many views, and I think that's just the perfect conditions to explore and be free and not, budge under the same expectations of people and society, and just the duality of doing things that make you feel alive with things that keep you alive. I also did some really difficult projects recently on my own, and I had to like break into spaces that are more difficult to break into, and I feel like I successfully did it, and now I'm in like a bit of a calm after the storm phase where I don't really know how that impacted me. um, it just, I feel like I sacrificed myself a lot to achieve that goal, and I did achieve it, but I don't know. I am just, what price is too high is a question I'm asking myself. And also, like, my own personal story involves, like, immigrating to Canada with my family and just kind of starting from, like, scratch and not having any network. And sometimes I feel the pressure of, like, reaching where I want to reach, but having my starting point be so far behind that I'm almost having to run double the distance. So that means I would have to run faster. So it makes me wonder, like, do people that are from more, I guess, disadvantageous backgrounds supposed to just like not aim as high? And if they do aim high, can they be well? Or I don't know. It's just, I think about that, and then another thought I have is like, there's no balance in greatness. No one, irrespective of where they were born, got to places that are really admirable by it being really easy either. So I'm not trying to discount their efforts, but yeah, like, how do you validate people that have had to work extra hard to get to the same place? How do we do that as a society and as a culture? Because I certainly don't understand how we do that. But I feel like I'm at least asking these questions, so yeah. If you have any thoughts, just let me know. Even talking about this topic, like, I feel like right now I'm sensing like unease, and my anxiety is still pretty high. And it just feels like I'm doing something wrong by talking about this topic, which makes me feel like it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. And it's just, yeah, it's just really tough. And I have a lot of respect for people that do it despite all the difficulties, and so yeah. And since I've been like starting my resting journey, another like interesting crossroads I've found myself at is like, I tell myself I'm gonna rest, and then I'm like, what does that even mean? And then I'm like, I'm gonna be the best rester ever. And that's just like, again, defeats the purpose of being a resting person. There is no best, you just do it for the sake of doing it. And I'm like, what has happened to me that I can't do the simplest of things without it feeling like a huge dopamine hit to my brain? And so I'm just trying to do things that will allow me to like fail more consistent efforts. Even in working out, I am trying to see the value of like small efforts every day consistently. I'm much more of a sacrifice everything for months and then achieve something big kind of person. And that has been really helpful in getting me to places and spaces I've wanted to be at. But it's also been really detrimental to my mental health and well-being. So I'm trying to figure out like, how do you balance out just I guess having a basic level of routine and structures and like non-negotiables and still achieving your dreams. And I kind of want to challenge myself and document this process in case there's another person that just is so beat up by their own desires and dreams in life that it's their almost like their biggest blessing and their biggest curse. It's a non-stop battle inside be to fulfill your potential but also feel enough. And I've been reading this book called Radical Acceptance by Tara Barch. I feel like I've been reading it for months and months and I still haven't finished it. I probably should do that. But every time I read that book and go on my sunrise or sunset walks, it always reminds me that the present moment is all that exists. Thinking about the future too much is just a way to not have to feel the pain of the present moment. And that was another big realization for me, was about mindfulness. If mindfulness, like since like 2015, mindfulness has really gotten its share of popularity in pop culture and mainstream media. And I just feel like it's just one of those things that's like another thing that you should be doing, but you're probably not doing, like meditation, cold plunge, and marathons, and waking up at 3 a.m. and going on 5K runs and all of that. It's just, I realized that mindfulness is extremely difficult for me because when I'm mindful and I'm present, I feel pain. So why would I want to be present with pain? And a little bit of a mental unlock, I don't know if it's translated into emotionally just yet, but a mental unlock for me has been to combine mindfulness with self-compassion. And that, my journey with self-compassion has been so difficult. It's just like incredibly, like, how can I even explain it? Like, I have known, so I've gone to therapy for like 5 years, and I've known that like my self-compassion is pretty low. And I find that a lot of ambitious, driven, and successful people are similar. Their internal criticism mechanism is just so strong that it's like nothing's ever good enough. Like, do better, and constantly like whipping themselves into perfection. And I did a session with my therapist on that, and she recommended that I go home and look up self-compassion test or quiz. And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about, but I went home and I was like, okay, let me check it out. And it was just so illuminating for me because I was like, fuck. I was just like, my self-compassion is just so low that I'm like almost embarrassed to like admit it even. Like, it's just, I think it was like out of 5, and anything below a 2.5 is like pretty low. And I think I like scored like something 0.5 or something, and I was like, wow, that is a big thing for me, is like I'm not really compassionate towards myself. And it's just like all of these things I feel like are so interconnected with each other that I feel like I'm in a web that I'm trying to detangle one strand at a time. And I also reflected a lot on like what have been the moments in my life that have like allowed me to just feel good about myself and be pretty confident, pretty self-compassionate, pretty high on self-love. And it's been moments where I've been expressing myself without reservation. I've allowed myself to think like I'm like already worthy right now. And that's another whole topic, worthiness. I realized my self-worth was so low, and I was using like external measures of ambition and just, let's say, fame as well, because a lot of my projects have come out on the news, and using that to feel worthy. But it was just this like really difficult concept of like, if I'm worthy now, then what's the drive? Like, if I'm like already like enough, then why should I do anything? Like, and so I kind of recognize that my drive comes from basically just unworthiness. And I think that has been a huge jab for me. It's been like, wow, that's like truly incredible to think about. Like, I'm so driven by unworthiness. And so I think the fear that has been holding me back with worthiness and my journey with that is, how can I replace this drive with something else? And if I can't find that in time, am I just going to be a useless person? And this lack of inner self-worth probably also prevented me from resting, which is the main topic of this video. It's like, if I rest, then I'm going to have to face myself, and I'm going to have to slow down, and I'm going to have to hear my own thoughts. And that is absolutely terrifying to me. Even though I'm a big proponent of journaling. I almost said journalism. Well, journalism. But yeah, journaling, talking to people, going to therapy, like I do all of these things. But it's just like the inner work of like rebuilding my self-worth is probably gonna be a journey for the rest of my life. And just by making this video, I'm trying to reinforce that in myself, that yes, I'm enough already as is. I don't need to do anything else to prove to myself that yes, I could be more worthy. And it's just like, even saying that feels like kind of emotional. Like, why am I so harsh on myself? Like, can I just give myself a bit of rest and relaxation and space to just be and exist without having to constantly impress myself? And if I can't do that, like, why can't I do that? This coloring is going pretty well, actually. I feel like I'm in a bit of a flow state. I'm enjoying it. I don't really know how long this video is going to be, but I don't care. I don't exist to be convenient all the time. I'm also wondering, like, will I meet more... If I meet, like, another person that can relate to any of this, that would be so great. Because it's, like, really tough. It's really tough. It's like, I feel like the weight of my dreams can just, like, be so crushing sometimes that I just get, like, really overwhelmed. And I don't really know what the solution to that is, to be honest. Yeah. But I know that I have a pretty high degree of self-awareness. So maybe that will come to rescue me as it has so far. But yeah, like I'm just like really trying to figure out like what can I replace my drive with if it's not coming from a place of unworthiness. Like what else could it be? Like could it be um like I've seen some other ones, and one of the ones like it included things like human beings' natural need for expansion and growth. And I intellectually buy into that, just growing and expanding and becoming better as a goal in itself. But I don't know if it's clicked emotionally yet for me with that one. It's still kind of tough to like figure this out. But yeah, I don't know. Another drive that could be potentially something I can like emotionally click into is probably like curiosity. I think I consider myself a pretty curious person. And so maybe that is another drive I can tap into and replace unworthiness with. Another one is, I think this one clicks for me emotionally the most, and it's freedom. I think it's just like I'm realizing how much of our lives we just live under so much like fear constantly about the future, about the past, about the present, about what to do next. Can I do it? Should I do it? And I just like I'm so into space stuff that I was like, what if we just like zoom out for a second? Everything's gonna end in the heat death of the universe. None of us are gonna make it out of this alive. It just feels like so significant. And I feel like I'm drawing some comfort from insignificance these days. That like we don't really matter. Or maybe because nothing matters, everything matters. Well, that's a philosophy conversation. Nietzsche will probably have a lot to say about that. And other philosophers, but yeah, I just am like, who cares? Like I am just so like, why am I so worried? Like, why am I so scared of what other people will think and stuff when no one even like probably remembers I exist for most of their existence? And like it's like weirdly like a scary thought, but it's also a pretty comforting thought, like that I could just truly be free. And I think that is probably gonna be like that. Freedom and curiosity are two drives that I can truly like tap into. And I feel like if I use them as my drives, I won't be as burnt out and exhausted and just completely like drained after every big endeavor. It's just been a big learning curve in terms of yeah, just expressing myself freely and having curiosity about what else could reality hold for me. And that's another insight for me, is like realizing how big ego has played a role in my life in terms of like, wow, I truly think that I know everything and I have a moral superiority just because I have intellectual understanding of things. But like no amount of intellectual understanding will allow us to translate it into action if we can't get over ourselves. And I am just trying to do this video to kind of get over myself a little bit. As Brianna Weiss talks about in The Mountain Is You, it's like that like truly feels right is like I'm my biggest obstacle sometimes. Even though I don't want to discredit that I'm trying my best. I think that's one thing I'm proud of myself for is like no matter what's going on in my life, I know I'm always trying my best. Like there are very few things I like truly regret. Um and so I think I will not regret making this video because I know no one's watching, which is amazing. But it's just been so lovely. I also just want to say like this is not like the first time I've like focused on like expressing myself and unloading what's inside of me. I have a blog that I would write very consistently, and I almost have like 30 blogs. And I just want to like document my life and my thoughts and experiences more because it's just so fleeting like all the time, and I have so much fear of impermanence and everything just slipping by without realizing it, that I feel compelled to just not even think about like platforms as platforms themselves, but as like mediums of expression. So today I felt like using the medium of video to express myself. And that feels like a pretty good reason to make videos. Because I can't do more than that. I can't do more than expressing what's inside of me. And yeah, I don't know if this video is gonna resonate with anyone, but I've met people, some people like me, that are so ambitious but also so burnt out, but also care about things more than just their careers. And I feel like I've had conversations like this in person. And that's like another thing, is like so many people I've met in person. Like I get this like quite often, but they're like always like, Jag, you should write a book or you should share more of your thoughts. And I've been thinking about it, and I feel like, why do people say that so much to me? And is it because I'm special? Oh, definitely not. Is it because I have a gift? Oh, definitely not. I think it's because of my nervous system. I just think I've been gifted or cursed with the most sensitive nervous system. And I just like sense things much quicker and faster, but also more deeply. I feel everything very deeply. So it's hard for me to like not sense what is going on beforehand. And I feel like I do that quite often with people in my life, in my relationships, my friendships, in my family. I'm always like sensing things way ahead of when they actually happen, and everyone's like resistant at first, and then over time they like realize, oh yeah, maybe she was right in saying all these things. So yeah, I just sense a bit of like of a cultural confusion these days about like what do we think about rest. Like I almost want to like read books on the history of rest, because my therapist recently was like, what does rest mean to you? And I was like stunned. I feel like I don't really understand the concept, and I just feel a bit of shame around that because I'm like, wow, like how do I not even know what that like means to me? And I just felt so disconnected from myself that I was like, I think now might be a good time to explore that for myself. And I also want to give myself some grace because I've had a pretty difficult year, or I guess 2 years recently. So, I've been doing my best. But again, I'm not trying to learn about rest from a place of unworthiness that, wow, look, you could be resting more and you're not resting enough. It's much more so like, it's much more like lack of clarity in terms of like what's important to me and how do I want to treat myself and how do I want to allow other people to treat me. It's like a tough process though, because I feel like I think that's like kind of also what prompted this video for me. I realize it's like not just my personal development or improvement that I'm working on. It's almost like a cultural phenomenon that I'm trying to understand and wrap my head around. And I'm definitely having a hard time understanding it fully because it just feels so, I don't know, like, does everyone else already know the rules of the game? Like, am I the only one questioning these things? If I am, then that's quite interesting as well for me to know. Like, why am I thinking about these things so much these days? Yeah. So the journey of resting and teaching myself what it is has been harder than I thought it would be, honestly. I thought I would just get to like vacation and whatever, but you still need purpose in life. I think like sometimes work is correlated with misery so much that like rest almost becomes like a necessity. So yeah, I don't think I truly understand what's going on here within myself, but also culturally. I just love how much I'm yapping today. And I feel like there's a part of me that's judging myself for it, but I'm going to overwrite that feeling and just let myself exist. I think it's just so much pressure constantly to be doing well and stuff. And again, just want to be clear, it's not my parents or society that I feel the pressure from. It's like myself. Even right now, like as I'm coloring this, there is like still almost like a 45% of me that's like secretly trying to make it look good. That's the hard part. Is I'm just trying to bring my subconscious into conscious reality and think about how it might be affecting things. This coloring is going pretty well. I feel like I'm getting close to being done. It's a cozy little page. I think it's like becoming more and more clear to me that like maybe sometimes being okay isn't the thing that leads to creativity, but it's like the path. Like making myself do things that I would only do when I feel completely in my element and ready and scripted and all of it is not always the best way to go about things. Another thing is like the concept of love. Right now I'm like really yapping, but I think like risk taking and love are very closely correlated because like this past week I felt so deeply loved by people in my life. And I feel like that gave me the courage to take the risk to make this video. And if I reflect back on the key stages of my life, the reflections have always like told me that anytime I feel loved, I feel secure. And when I feel secure, I feel ready to take more risks. So if you don't feel ready to take a risk in life, maybe it's worth examining. Do you feel supported enough in your day-to-day life? And I've definitely had phases where I felt like I'm not supported at all. Not because people in my life aren't supporting me, but like the feeling I'm feeling that I'm supported is not always exactly the same. I'm also trying to prevent myself from looking at the time right now because it doesn't matter. I take as long as I want to take. So I feel like creativity is risk taking. So if love and risk taking are correlated, and risk taking and creativity are correlated, are love and creativity correlated? I don't know. Feels like inductive reasoning. And it's also like I think I'm trying to like I know I'm talking about me a lot, but I'm trying to like not make myself the center of the universe constantly. Like all of these things I'm talking about, I just really want to connect with people. And I just want to hear other people's stories about these concepts. Because I feel like it's just misery comes from like thinking about you yourself and your life too much. And I'm definitely guilty of that. But I'm also in my early 20s, so maybe that's okay. I don't know. Yeah, it's just how do you start? Not being so absorbed in yourself and seeing the world for what it is and not constantly like expecting things for yourself only. Because I think I'm realizing like humans are inherently very selfish and we just love to do things for ourselves, and we're very self-oriented. And I'm not criticizing that design because maybe that design has kept us alive until now, but now that we are much more modern and don't live in hunter-gatherer societies, I wonder how we can evolve the self-orientedness of life. can we really make ourselves more service oriented? Or is that like very hard to rewire in our brains? I definitely know some people that are so extremely selfless. But does true selflessness exist at all? Like, it just feels very, very unlikely, because even when you're being selfless, truly, you're probably expecting good feelings, good emotions out of it, or your own conscience. I actually wrote a blog post on this, so this is not a random thought, but I didn't realize it was still stuck in my brain, so there you go. I'm actually having a great time coloring right now. And sorry, my throat is kind of getting more coarse. And this, like, resting and everything right now is the biggest priority in my life. I want to see if I can make my number one priority come into fruition. It's definitely tough to slow down in such a fast-paced society and life. It's just yeah. It's been such a fun time to just color here, sit down, and let myself exist in peace, in freedom. And I'm gonna keep this like video unedited because I don't know. It's like try to have the courage to be fully seen. Like I said in the beginning, to be seen or not to be seen. That is the question. I'm just coloring the blanket right now. It's pretty nice. If you want, you can also just join me. I feel like I watch videos like this all the time. Like I watch it. Like I don't do my own thing. I just like sit and watch, which is kind of interesting, but if I watch them, then someone's creating them. There must be other people, right? I don't know. We'll have to see. can't believe I've been talking for like such a long time though. Got a text. Sorry. It's the love I was talking about. I just love these alcohol markers. They're just so satisfying. Right now I feel the pressure to entertain, in case any one person is watching. But I'm going to not listen to that urge. I'm just going to color, allow myself to have moments of silence as well. Such a cozy little book. Also, like, I've been thinking about YouTube a lot these days. Like, something about YouTube keeps pulling me back to it. I feel like something about I feel like it's because I grew up with it. Like, I just would watch like videos like all the time of people. And I was like a latchkey kid, so I'd be home a lot. And there would be no one else, and I would just like sit and watch YouTube videos for like hours and hours and hours and never get tired of it. So I feel like it almost like raised me in some ways. And it's like I'm very interested in like media, and it feels like I am interested in YouTube. So yeah. I'm actually excited to show the end product. It's pretty interesting, I think, to look at. yeah, so what was I talking about? I was talking about drives. So if you guys have any drives that are internal and that are positive, you should let me know about them so I can think about them. Because my drive comes from a challenging place, as I've talked about, and I'm trying to rewire it. Definitely not easy, but humans have done incredible things. What's rewiring your nervous system, compared to that? Actually, talking about nervous system, I've been watching videos on nervous system regulation a lot, and that's like one thing about me is I'm very much the type of person to like journal and therapy and all of these things. And I read somewhere that if you're the type of person that just like would willingly go to therapy or do that for extended periods of time, maybe you'll benefit from other forms like of therapy, like somatic healing, using your body more, so movement, like not just being in your brain so much. And people that just can't stand the idea of like sitting down and like processing their emotions should probably focus on more sitting down and talk therapy. And I definitely fall in the first category. I think I'm pretty comfortable with journaling and therapy and talking and all of these things, so I've been trying to incorporate more physical and somatic healing practices in my life. And that has looked like so many different things, like joining joining Zumba classes, doing massages, what else? Stretching more, just breathing exercises, meditation, and just like kind of like feeling my body sensations more and being more aware of my physical existence, because I feel like most of my life I felt like very disconnected from my body. And I've read about how that might be connected to trauma and everything, which I've explored, but I think I'm trying to do more of that as well. Just stretching. And a very interesting one is using theater for somatic healing, because while you're acting you have to like bring out your inner unstuck emotions out and you have to process it. So it might be a good tool to heal or process some old wounds. And I am in a theater class right now for school. I didn't do it specifically for the trauma reasons or somatic healing reasons, but I was pretty happy to hear about its benefits other than just it being an art form. There's other ones as well called EMDR, rhythmic things like dance or instruments. So there have been many tools that have been discussed on that realm. I'm definitely not an expert, but I've been enjoying like learning about those things a lot these days. So yeah. I'm kind of confused about which color I should use. Maybe this one. I'm so close to being done with the coloring book. Coloring has been a wonderful way to relax these days, and I'm very grateful to have found it. I am trying to make this year for myself a year of low expectations, where I get to be free and explore and make mistakes. So even in my coloring, it's, I don't know, there's some smudges and some of the color is like bleeding into another one, but I'm trying to not hold back so much my creative energy. Yes. A few more details left. So close. Wow, what a session this has been. I actually finished a whole page in real time, so I'm proud of myself for that. I'm in my final details. So close. Okay. I think I'm done with this page. Oop, one last one. Alright. I am done coloring this page. Let me break this. It's been a fun one. I'll show you the end product, even though it's not about the outcome. Just want to see. It does take a long time to finish the whole page. It's like mindfulness and self-compassion coloring. Alright, just gonna drink tea. Here's the reveal. My coloring. I really like this page. It is very cozy. Kind of reminds me of the state of mind I'm in. As you can see, I just picked those colors and rinse and repeat. most of the things are the same color scheme and they're just repeated throughout the page. And yeah, I don't try to overcomplicate things. I just do whatever I feel like. So yeah, it's been such a fun little coloring page. I have some other ones. When I'm done with this book, maybe I'll do a show of each coloring page, but I've enjoyed this hobby more than I expected that I would. I'm just gonna finish the last of my tea. Well, I think that is everything for tonight. I'll probably be heading to bed soon, but this has been a really relaxing time. I feel like I've expressed myself, and yeah, I feel like resting is still a difficult journey for me, but I believe in myself, and if you are someone that struggles with resting, I believe in you as well. Yeah, all I want to say is we got this. It's been a pleasure sharing this difficult uphill journey with all of you. Have a good night.